Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, the bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a word. Oh, well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody's talking about the bird. Oh, well, a bird, bird. The bird's a
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. I am your host, Matt DeWolf, Editor-in-Chief of Car Wash Magazine. Hey, super awesome video to kick off the program here today. We had Rainforest Car Wash, our friends out in Ohio, getting a little creative with the mask mandate issued there and just embracing that in a fun way. So kudos to them. Thanks for sharing. We've got some more creativity coming at you from Ohio here later in this program, but you're going to have to hold on to your seats for that. So here we go. Okay, so we're going to start off this program with a story about coffee. And you might say, Matt, why coffee? And I might say, friends, because. So this morning I go downstairs and I'm getting the coffee ready, and I go to grab a new bag, and we wanted to try something new. So we got something different last week. Grab the bag. I get it out. I got to open the bag. One of the things that drives me absolutely crazy with coffee is when you open the bag, you can never close it in an acceptable way, right? So the twist ties, maybe they rip off of the bag, or you get it closed, but it's kind of wonky, and you don't ever really know if you're going to fold it forward or fold it back, or do you fold it forward and then back and then forward. So it's not easy, and it's this weird little frustration point in the day to kick off your day. And this new packaging from this company changed that for me. So I open it up, I grab it, I pull it off, and it's got this little rip tie thing here, right? So I pull off the rip tie, and I'm thinking, oh good, another twist tie. But it wasn't a twist tie. It's zip-locked, okay? So that one little detail makes a giant difference for me. So that's just one way that this particular brand of coffee surprised and delighted me today. And guess what? I'm going to buy their coffee again. And so for me, that was just a reminder that we can all pay attention to small details and small frustration points, and do thoughtful little touches to increase the chances of surprising and delighting our customers and making sure that they're going to come back and wash with us again. So that's my coffee story for you. That's a tongue twister, and that's why coffee. Okay, so I got swag on. There's a special story behind the swag, but you won't get it for a while yet. My swag table behind me is starting to fill up, so that's good. Send me your swag, hashtag send it. I know that's not how we want to use that hashtag, but I'm going to use it that way today. Send me your swag. I will wear it on the program. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago we had Tony DeBarros on from Belize Auto Wash, and Tony's story is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go back and check that out. Tony runs the washes for that auto group and has a different approach to washing cars, but the real passion project for him is his nonprofit One Love All Children. And this program, I just want to remind you all what it does. It provides school supplies and much needed dental hygiene care for children in Cape Verde. So that's Tony's passion project. I made my donation. Go out, make yours if you feel like supporting it. URL is right below here, oneloveallchildren.org. Check that out. Make it about more than washing cars. One other thing I want to tell you about that keeps us in this vein of more than washing cars is a story that you may or may not have heard. Motor City Washworks every year raises a bunch of money for St. Jude's, and in the past few years they've raised more than $750,000 for that organization. So it's a really powerful story, really moving for people who have had the opportunity to be part of that. And we're going to have that story for you on an upcoming episode of this program and Car Wash the Podcast. So be on the lookout for that. It's coming up in a couple weeks. Really cool story. Really want to share it with you. Let's hear real quick, though, from someone who went to the event in a previous year and has been impacted by what they're doing over at Motor City.
Last year, we watched you participate in the St. Jude and Motor City charity event, and being part of it really meant a lot to us. And seeing all the contributions and what it could do for the families of St. Jude was very moving. And as for Wash U, moving forward, we're going to continue to participate, and we encourage all operators, if possible, to participate in raising money for St. Jude.
All right, there you have it. Like I said, that's Mike Timmer. Mike Timmer was part of the program last year. Highly moved by the experience and the amount of money to be able to be raised. And they're going to be involved again this year, and encourage everybody else to get involved with that program as well. Okay, let's move on. We've got a great show for you today. We've got a special interview with Neil Fox from the Wash Factory in Australia coming up. Before that, though, we got to hit you with a joke. I hope you guys are ready. I wrote this one this morning, pre-coffee, so there's that. That's that disclaimer for you. Are you ready? I am ready. Hey, what's every vacuum's favorite food? Suckers. Hey, yes. Oh, like I've always said, my friends, you are stuck with my jokes until you send me yours at mdewolf@carwash.org. So, let's get right into the program, shall we? I had the opportunity to speak with Neil Fox, the Wash Factory, president of the Australian Car Wash Association. Here that is for you right now. With me today on the program is Neil Fox, joining us with the Wash Factory in Australia. Hey, Neil, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, man. Glad to be on.
Yeah, so it was a little weird to figure out time zones for me, but I know that you're just starting your day there in the western portion of Australia. What's your view like right now? I'm jealous.
Oh, magnificent view out the window. I can just see the sun's about to pop up in about another half an hour, so it's a beautiful sunrise. Looking across the water, it's probably couldn't be more picturesque this morning. Yeah, we're just coming out of the shortest day of the year, so I'm quite excited that summer's on its way again.
The light is coming. Light is coming.
Yes, it is coming.
Hey, so let's back up a minute real quick, and can you just give me kind of a quick version of your path into the car wash industry?
Yeah, sure. Look, I've been involved in the advertising industry for a long time. I ran my own advertising agency, worked across agriculture, veterinary, pharmaceutical type work, had big multinational clients, had a bit of a sea change, was living in Sydney, was on the East Coast, and moved back to Perth or back to Western Australia about 2014. And I was looking for a business, and I wrote myself a list of criteria. One of them was, I didn't want any staff anymore. I was a bit over running staff. So I wanted a business that had little staff as possible, simple debtor and creditor structure, and something I could, build on the value of land really as well. So I didn't need to have land under it. So car washing ticked that box, and one thing led to another. And a friend of mine suggested I go and have a look at a business about an hour away. So I did that and got quite excited, and we ended up buying that, and I ran that for the last 4 years until I came to Perth early this year and bought 2 car washes in January.
So you can't get enough of it?
No, I can't get enough now. I'm always on the lookout for sites, and spend a lot of time running meetings in our local state with all the operators. So we talk a lot, and I just like the passion that everybody throws into it. You start talking car washing, and you can be there for hours with people. Took me a little while to understand why everyone's so excited, but I now can probably spend equal time doing the same thing.
Well, you know what happened, Neil, is you got a little bit of the soap in your blood, and once it's in, it doesn't come out.
Yes, it sounds like it. Yeah. So, look, I used to work in the agricultural sector, and farmers are a bit like that as well. So I sort of understand it. It's been good. And then I got involved in the association. Got on the board not long after I got into the industry, and taken presidency over in the last couple of years, because we needed an operator to be the president rather than a supplier. That was a strongly held view by the previous president. It was a supplier. So, I'm stepping into that breach back in late 2018, I think. So that's been an enjoyable trip as well. I'm enjoying that.
So you've seen a lot in your foray as president of the Australian Association. Walk me through a little bit about just kind of what's going on there now. You've experienced the droughts, you've had fires, you've had COVID. What's going on there, and what's it like?
Well, that's the thing we did. Last year, probably early 2019, we started to realise that water was going to be scarce in Australia, and it's a very scarce resource in our country. We've got huge variation between the north and the south, and the east and the west in this country, and there's not much in the middle, not like in the US. We don't have any corn belt, so we started to see in Queensland that they were going to start running out of water, and they'd had a drought, or were having a drought. And so then we started working with the water authorities to try and work out what their restriction legislation was going to be and where car washing fits in. Because the problem we have is that whilst we're a very low user of water, really, in the scheme of commercial use of water, we're a highly visible user of water. And they find it easy to come and attack us and close us down. And so the executive of the association and myself spent a lot of time talking to the authorities, trying to understand where they were going to start forcing restrictions on us and what it would entail. And then, so we were looking at, how many litres per car we were allowed to use, things like this. So, there's a lot of detail, but we managed to secure water for all of our sites throughout the entire drought, which was a great outcome. A couple of sites did get closed, but we got them reopened and kept them operating. So yeah, we went from the drought situation. And really what we're trying to educate everybody is that, we really have a social license to use water.
Yeah.
And I really want everybody to understand that and be really respectful of it and try and look at, what we can do around saving water all of the time. But of course, the authorities are selling us water, so they don't really want to do that. They're trying to sell us as much as possible. So we're just trying to play with that sort of exchange with the authorities. But we've got a social license, we've got to respect that and try and do everything possible. And then recycling of water is a really tricky aspect because it's so expensive and sites are so constrained. So we're talking to the government about saying, well, it should be done on the industrial scale, not at a wash by wash scale. And they are starting to get that message as well from other parties, I think. So water is really important, but then of course when you don't have a lot of water in a drought, that leads to one thing in Australia. We've got a lot of eucalypt forests up and down the east coast, as we had a massive fire season, the biggest one we've ever had, as you would have seen on the news. So it was quite horrendous and quite frightening up and down the east coast. So we came out of that sort of probably late January. I can't remember the exact dates now, but early February we got rain, and we got a lot of rain, which helped. And in fact, Victoria ended up having quite a wet end of their summer down in the southeast corner. So yeah, we just recovered from drought and fire, and everything was sort of starting to pick up. And then, we got slammed by COVID. And that was just unprecedented is the word that's been overused, but just to understand what was going to happen next was really quite tricky. But I have to say our government has been incredibly active. They've made very good decisions. They've got a national cabinet, which has got all of the various states involved, and they've made really good decisions, luckily. Whilst the communication hasn't been fantastic, at times it's been very positive decisions they've made. They've made them very much based on science, and it's really hard to fault the decisions that have been made. We've basically locked down the country. We've got no international flights, and anybody who comes back from overseas ends up in a hotel for 14 days. It's mandatory. So we've actually been able to contain this thing quite significantly. And then each state pretty much block their own borders. Like if I go to Victoria, I can't fly back without going through a hotel quarantine. So it's very tight, but it's working. We've had no cases here in Western Australia for, I don't even know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
So when all that started happening, what kind of, was it, I know in the US, a lot of washes were, closed in some states, open in others. There was a whole bunch of mess in terms of figuring it all out. Did you all go through something similar?
Yes, we had exactly the same. When we had, in Victoria, we had a car wash closed. The guy was washing his car in a self-service bay at 1:30 in the morning. And the police came along and, gave him a fine.
Yeah.
And So we quickly jumped on that with Doug Cross, who's our general manager, and I. We developed a quick strategy and got in touch with the police. And in fact, we got the fine retracted, and then we got a statement out of the police to say that actually it was a business that could continue operating. There was this like non-essential, essential business terminology, but the definitions around it were very loose. So yeah, that was that, and then everybody kept operating. I mean, the people who took the biggest hit, and it'll be the same anywhere, is the hand wash operators. Purely because you've got a human inside your car. A lot of people don't want that. Trying to keep that hygiene process up within that structure is really complicated. But the hand wash, the big hand wash guys work really, really hard at that.
Yeah.
And they are recovering, but it's still down. Whereas most of the operators I talk to in the self-serve and automatic space, or in-bay automatic space, seem to have recovered pretty much, across the country.
And how, I assume that you're recovered fine. Volumes are back to most.
Yeah, look, our volumes are back to normal. Yeah, so we bounced back quite hard. We got hit, about the middle of March, probably for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then recovered.
Okay.
The other thing that's helped us in this here is we had a program where the government supported our employees. So we got what was called JobKeeper. So instead of laying off staff, we were actually given an incentive to keep them on. So we got a payment which would underwrote their salary. So that goes through until September. So that meant that I didn't have to, I just bought 2 new businesses thinking I was quite smart in January, and then got hit by this. And I just employed a good guy. I just started training. He was really good. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to let him go. But the government's package allowed us to keep that person in place, and we've got charged forward. And we recovered.
Yeah. Now you're on the other side, and you're working on your more businesses.
Yeah, we're back working on it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm always looking for more now. So it's been very different in each state, as it would be in the US as well. Just exactly how it's transpired, and the government, slightly different government regulations. It's just been tricky to get everyone to understand it, but that's where the association's done a fantastic job. We've just been communicating everything we can find and pushing it out, and I think everybody's really appreciated that information. We've done big Zoom hookups with, I think we had 100 washers operators on one of the calls, just trying to tell them everything we knew, and so that they could then operate within that frame. So that's been good.
So coming out of all this, what do you think has changed for the better for you? Or is there anything from an operational perspective or anything at the wash that you changed because of what happened with COVID that you think, man, we're going to keep this? This is great. Yeah.
Look, I think it's all about hygiene. So we've had to have very much a hygiene culture. So we've been doing a lot more cleaning. We're a lot more visible on site cleaning, and that's what people want to see. And then that leads into contactless payment as well. So the one thing I did was I had a development plan set up that got kiwashed by the COVID because I couldn't get the right tech in to get it done. So I was going to put contactless payment on everything, and that had been pushed aside, thinking, well, I can't afford to do that. But after a couple of weeks, when I saw the recovery, sort of the roots of, or the green shoots of recovery, I actually ordered all contactless payments for everything. So vacuums, self-serve bays, dog washers, everything. I just put the ability to use a credit card, so that people don't have to use a change machine. They don't have to use notes. We don't have to, play with tokens. It's about staff safety as much as customer safety. So you've got to think both sides of that. We had tokens. We had to wash the tokens in disinfectant and dry them. Try and reduce every possible angle on trying to reduce where this thing might be transferred. So the contactless payment, I think, is, PayPass is very big in Australia. I know in the US it's not quite as big, but Tap, if you went to buy your coffee, you couldn't use cash in Australia for weeks. Like only recently can I use cash again. But everyone was tapping, so there was a real tap culture. So I thought, well, I have to tap into that. And get contactless devices on everything that people touch and want to use, and that's worked for us. We're at 65% credit card. Jumped probably 15%. So it was just making sure I gave customers those options, and it's worked. And I think that's going to lead into a long-term thing as well. I think we're going to move to much more of a cashless society very quickly. I can see people being a little bit scared of cash so that going forward, and there's always been that momentum towards contactless payments. So now I'm looking at other options and other suppliers, particularly out of the US, for making it so you can run off your mobile phone and wash clubs and all that type of thing, which aren't really happening in Australia yet. I know they're big in the tunnels in the US.
Yeah, big time.
So we've been looking at that market for a long time, and I think now the time is right for that to really take off.
That's interesting. What do you think? What do you think is setting you up to be able to do that now, like versus before? What's the difference? Is it just the familiarity with the apps and all that, or what's the deal?
Yeah, hygiene.
Okay.
You've got to have a hygiene mentality. You've got to have a hygiene culture in your business. If you talk to the hand wash guys, the really good ones, they are fastidious now about hygiene, about their staff's hygiene, because they've got to look after their staff. Remember, it's always about staff safety on a site as well as customer safety at all times. You've got to, in Australia, our work health safety regulations are very stringent, and so you really got to look after your staff. If you have a staff go down and die of COVID, that's a bit tricky about whose responsibility that is. So by going down that contactless process and using apps to manage the transaction with the customer without them having to use money, anything you can do in that space is going to be great, because that just reduces the risk factor of that community transfer. So I think that's a long-term trend. It was coming anyway. I think this will just accelerate it.
Which is probably a good thing for you all, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's where I want to go. Yeah, definitely. It's been my objective. I've been pushing quite hard, but now I've got a reason to push the suppliers a lot harder. There's different certification you require in Australia to have an app from the US work in the Australian market with banks. We have a slightly different certification process, of course, to interfere with that. So I have a bit of leverage on those suppliers. So I'm trying to beat those guys over the head a bit with a stick to say, let's go. We've got to get this thing ongoing. And that's where I find it useful to be in the chair of the presidency, that I can use that a little bit to everybody, to the industry's advantage, I think, as well as mine, clearly.
Right. Well, hey, though, what's the saying go? The rising tide lifts all ships, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, Neil, I want to continue this conversation in a little bit here. We're going to take a quick break and go check out a couple other pieces of business. But when we come back, I want to take a look at your wash and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no problem. Look forward to it.
Well, here we are at our AAC car wash in Morley that we purchased in January this year. We are yet to rebrand it to the Wash Factory, but it will happen in a few months' time once we get through a few other COVID issues. So this site is made up of an auto, so it's a WashTech Combi auto, and then 4 manual bays or self-serve bays, plus a vacuum bay, which has got 4 vacuums. We just changed over from these standard vacuums to a couple of fragrance vacuums, just to add a bit of spice to the place and just show that we're constantly upgrading it. So as I said, we bought it in January the 1st, and thought we'd done a really smart thing, buying a really run-down business, and then COVID hit sort of middle of March, so it slowed us up for a little while, but we've managed to keep turning things around adequately, and yeah, we've seen great upside. This site we really like because it's got the potential to throw another in-bay auto in this bay here, which is an extra large one, and hopefully that will happen sometime next year if we can get our traffic right. So it's all a matter of just trying to clean everything up. Everything when we got here was filthy dirty and wasn't working and totally blocked up, so we've had a lot of work just trying to get the site up. And as you can see, we're next to a takeaway food place drive-through, which has obviously been in fantastic business during the COVID period. Red Roost is a local WA West Australian brand. So yeah, we've got lots to do. The old sail cover here is pretty tatty and pretty old. Middle of winter here, so it's had a bit of a beating in the last month or so. Hopefully we'll get all that tidied up as well. The one thing we have done that's worked really well is we've used these LED portable signs that are solar driven, and we've used them at this site and the other site that we bought as part of the same package deal, and that's working really well for us. We just keep changing that up all the time. The other thing we did at this site was that all of the services all ran underground, and we kept having problems with hoses blowing underground. So we decided we would move to a gantry above ground. So we stuck that over the top, and now we're about to run all our services through that when we do a bit of an upgrade in the next few weeks of our self-serve system. So that gantry is working really well. It means we can identify problems really quickly. And this place was previously set up for a few years without a car wash in it, so it's not quite set up properly, but we've managed to squeeze everything into one spot. The other thing we did, which was from a work health safety point of view, was we bought this little lift, which was a fantastic little item. We bought it at auction for really no money at all, and just saves us using ladders. My workmen just love it, and we don't have to worry about them with a slippery floor and going up 3 or 4 metres. It's no problem at all. It's a great investment. If you've got the space, I'd totally encourage guys to look at these types of things. They're really nifty. So yeah, that's our site in Morley. It's a great little site. It's a really busy road. It's got a service station on the adjacent corner. We get a lot of traffic, and as you can see, there's a drive-through takeaway place next door that we get lots of traffic from as well. So yeah, we've just found by making sure everything works really well, everything on the dial works, the soaps, the products we're using are good. We're about to upgrade a little bit as well. Then we just keep getting return customers, which is what it's all about. Probably the other thing we did with the COVID was we went to put on these PayPass devices. So everybody was using no cash, so we went to PayPass and we put that on absolutely everything, including our vacuums, and that's worked really well. The only thing we haven't put it on yet are these vending machines, but we will do that in time. And so going touch-free, contactless environment, we think is going to be the go, and so we just did it all at once, and that's so much better to be able to track our revenues as well. Yeah, so there's a quick little tour of our site that we bought in January. Like I said, we bought another one up the road as well, and it's equally going quite well. We feel that we're coming out of the COVID thing quite well in West Australia. Hopefully we won't have any other issues, and we can keep steaming along and investing in it and seeing the revenue upside. So hopefully you enjoyed our tour. Cheers.
Neil, that was an awesome location. Thanks for sharing that with us. Hey, I know you've got some plans in place though for that and the development work that you're doing for your other locations. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we took those sites over in January this year. They'd been really run down. They just hadn't been well looked after. Everything was not working. Water management was bad, etc. So we spent a lot of time cleaning those sites up, both visually and then also just getting all the machinery right. But really what we're looking at is our feeling is it's a bit like the tunnel scenario in the US. It's all about speed of service. So the current machine was running too slow. So the current machine, we've upgraded it so it'll run faster. We've taken a couple of sections out of it to be able to make it faster, wash car more quickly. We don't have a huge queue area, as you would have seen. And so we want to be able to speed that up. So what we've decided to do is we're actually going to take out the existing in-bay automatic and ship that to another site and then put a faster machine in. So we're looking at probably halving the time that it takes to wash the car. And that way the small queuing area we have won't be quite as big a disadvantage to us on that site. It's a great site. It's on really busy roads. It's very visible. It's next to a takeaway, a drive-through takeaway. So it's a great site. And then if we get that right, we can then expand across into the next bay and put another automatic in if that works.
Yep.
Australia's not into that tunnel segment just yet. Land's very expensive in Australia. This site would be worth, we don't own this site, but the site would be worth, $1.5 million to $2 million.
Oh, wow.
It's a very expensive site, and it's only about 1,200 square meters. So it's very expensive compared to what the US scenario would be. So we'll do that. We've got a dog wash on there. We love, there's a lot of dogs in Australia. It's very open space in Perth. So a lot of people have dogs. So we've got a good dog wash, and we'll probably put another dog wash in. We're just trying to build our market up. The big thing we've had an impact with is signage. So we've got an LED sign we've seen, and we've just communicating to everyone that we've taken this over. We've got new management, and every time we put something new in or upgrade it, we'll run a new message on the sign. And we found that signboards work really, really well. And so, in fact, it worked so well on that site that I ended up buying another one for the other site. So rather than this I guess comes back to my marketing background. I sort of got stuck in the COVID thinking, going, well, I have to cut all my costs.
Yeah.
But then once I saw a few things starting to happen, and I thought it was bottomed out, but really what I need to do is advertise again. So that's when I bought another sign in. Thought we've just got to keep going. It's working. It was working pre-COVID. So we just have to keep going, and that should support us on the way out. And that has absolutely worked. I'm convinced of it. It's a bit hard to be categoric about those numbers, but the sales have increased, and those signs I think have played a big part. So,
it's kind of like there's we get the question sometimes like, hey, there's going to be an economic downturn at some point. What do you do to prepare for that? And in a lot of ways, your gut wants to like tighten up and shut down and like shutter everything, just like you said, right? But really, yes, what you need to be doing is preparing yourself to be on the other side of that thing and make sure that you're continuing to invest in your business and make smart choices. The same thing going on here with COVID and everything else.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, look, I used to sell advertising. I used to tell people, in the downturn, that's when you should be advertising because no one else is.
Right.
And it is factual. It is a fact. But it's very hard to get people to spend in that moment, and it's really easy to take that line out of your budget. So, well, that's the easiest line you can strip through. So, well, we'll just take that out. But I went the other way. I went, okay, let's invest more. So we've invested more, and I think that's something that's worth considering when you're coming out of the COVID scenario. If you have been slammed, you really got to market your way back out of it. You can't sit back and wait for it to recover.
Yeah, otherwise you might not be there.
You've got to be on the front foot.
Yep.
So take action, I think, is probably my key message, and really tell your customers what you're doing. Tell them you changed your hygiene processes. That was part of our signage. We're under new management. We've got new processes, and people seem to respect that. And certainly, people were coming back washing their car without any fear, which was great.
Yeah, it's got to be a safe place. Absolutely.
Yeah, hey. They've got to think of it as a safe place. So, and cleanliness tells you, and care around your site just illustrates that point. When people come on, they see you cleaning everything, they see you fastidious, they go, this is a site I'll come back to. So in this COVID environment, that's absolutely critical.
Hey, Neil, I've got one last question for you. And then I'll let you get back to your day here. What gives you hope, or what keeps you optimistic about the future here?
Look, I think we've got a great product. Car wash, everyone likes to look after their car. It's a big investment for most people. All the youth, don't know how to wash a car anymore. Not my children. It's very hard to get my children to even wash my car, even before I had a car wash. So that's been positive. I think from a community perspective, what gives me a lot of hope coming out of COVID is it's really tightened up the community. We've got just on our little walkway out the front door here, everybody's communicating more. And I think that's been a positive out of the COVID thing. Everyone's saying hello, how are you? And I guess because we've got a common topic.
Yeah.
We were all in this together. It didn't matter what you did. I mean, I was talking to one of my daughter's fathers the other day. He's an anaesthetist. His business was completely slammed. He had no patients to work on at one point because they closed all operations. So it doesn't matter really who you are, you've been hit by this thing. So that's brought everybody together, and I hope that has a positive impact. It seems to have. So I'm positive on that, and I think our government luckily has done a good job. So I'm quite positive that we'll swim our way out of this without too many problems.
Well, I appreciate the optimism. Everybody needs it right now. We all need positivity in our life. Neil, thank you so much for sharing your story and being part of the program today. I really appreciate it. And we'll have to get you back on.
It was really nice to be invited, and let's keep in contact.
Awesome. Thanks, Neil.
Yes.
All right, everybody. So that was Neil Fox from the Wash Factory in Australia, also the Australian Car Wash Association president. Big thank you to Neil for joining us and sharing his insights about continuing to reinvest in your business, even when it might be a little bit scary and you might be in a COVID scenario or thinking about economic downturn or whatever it might be. There is always a silver lining and some opportunity for you in that. So I said at the top of the program that we had another creative thing for you from Ohio related to masks. This is maybe going to be the next big hit that you're going to hear on the radio. This is called Oh my. This is called Mask Daily. Here we go, everyone. Your next big radio single.
Right, stop, collaborate, and listen. We're masking up and social distancing.
Rona grabs a hold of us tightly. Dan and Christine update the SOP nightly.
Will it ever stop? Yo, we don't know.
Sanitize the vax, and let's go.
To the extreme, don't wax his mask like a vandal.
Don't forget the deets and wipe down every handle.
Distance, cover your mouth and your nose.
Rona's coming at you and sticking to your clothes.
Deadly when filling the bottle. Nothing less than cleaning the throttle.
Love it or leave it. You better step away.
6 foot distance we're ensuring every day.
If there is a problem, yo, we'll solve it.
One person max when you're in the count closet.
Mask daily. Over your mouth and nose daily. Mask daily.
There you have it, my friends. A little bit of ear candy for you on this Thursday morning, afternoon, wherever you may be. So super fun video. Another example of folks having a little fun with it and bringing some positivity to the stage here. So speaking of ear candy, I do want to remind everybody about Car Wash, the podcast. The latest 2 episodes are a conversation with Curtis Wade over at Oasis Car Wash Systems, talking about the recent growth that they've seen in the self-serve and in-bay automatic markets. So something worth checking out. Those episodes come out every Wednesday, perfect for windshield time or popping in your noise-canceling headphones and getting a little quiet time. So make sure you check those out. We're bringing you inside the industry experts as well as outside the industry experts to help you make better business decisions for yourself. So that's that. Just a quick reminder, if you do want to watch additional episodes of this program, you can find those at carwashmagazine.com. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. You can watch them wherever you consume these kinds of things. And we're looking forward to sharing these stories with you every week. Speaking of next week, we have a great program for you. We were able to finally visit a wash location live and in person. And so we stopped by Mike Timmer's Wash U in Illinois to get a look at that, and we'll have that live tour look for you next week. So make sure you tune into that. It's a double tunnel, a double belt tunnel, so lots of cool stuff going on there. Make sure you tune in next week to check that out. And until then, my friends, keep it clean.